guys, thank you so much for tuning in to another Artist Highlight interview. Today we have Quiana Ellison here, and I'm so excited. She has an amazing new podcast that posts on YouTube, and it's called Blackity Black, and it's amazing. She can give more details on that. But first, Quiana, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty great. It's a really nice day outside.
We're in Chicago.
In Chicago.
I feel like fall already.
Yeah, it's August. It's supposed to be hot, but not this. Winter's coming.
Do you prefer it really hot, or do you like it to like get a little cool outside?
It depends. I'm more of a summer person, but fall is always nice. I'm happiest in the fall because it's like I'm used to it.
Yeah. See, my birthday is in the fall, September, so like that's my favorite.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. Cool. So now, for anyone who's tuning in now, during this time, right now, everyone is quarantined. There is a pandemic that's going around at this time, and everyone's just being safe and being quarantined, staying close to just family and wearing masks and social distancing and things like that. So, Quiana, I want to ask you, what have you been doing during this time? How's the family? How's everything going?
My family, for the most part, is pretty fine. No one has caught COVID in my immediate or extended family, so that's a blessing.
Good.
I have been out of work since March.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's actually really hard to get through unemployment, so I'm still trying to fight my way because it's like, yeah. But it's a lot. But recently moved out to the suburbs, so that's a really nice neighborhood.
So where you're at right now, this is a new home or a new area?
New home, new area.
Yeah, nice. Where you at? Which area?
You know where Hardwood Heights is? It's like right by the hill. It's right by it's Harlem.
Okay, good. Nice, good. What I was gonna say was that I know you were mentioning, kind of like being out of work like since March and all of that. At the same time, it's weird. Like this pandemic for some has been like a blessing, and then for some has been a little bit more difficult, But even during this time, it's like you've been able to really dedicate a little bit more time towards your giftings too, So it's kind of like one of those things where like a door is closed or paused. God takes that as an opportunity to open up something else, So even with that, like this is kind of the time that your podcast is getting off the ground. And, you have your 2 episodes now, and it's been really good so far. Like, I love them there. And they're nice and short, too, like nice chunks of information. Like, you can consume it, and it's really good quality. So great job. But, yeah, I want you to go ahead and, like, talk about that a little bit. So what is Blackity Black? Let the people know.
Okay. So Call Me Blackity Black is pretty much my experience and my view on Blackness based on my life experiences, because with like the police brutality and just other little things like cultural appropriation, colorism, things like that, that's very common. Black people just understand it just as is because we have lived it. But a lot of people, even our brown counterparts, don't really understand our side of the story because they never lived a life as a Black person. So Call Me Blackity Black is pretty much to teach you Blackness the way I have known Blackness and from a Black person's point of view. Yeah. And it's not like, I'm educating you on things you can read in the book. I'm educating you on the culture, educating you on like how life has been for me and probably for other Black people, and hearing how we all kind of have this, like this story that just, we have this shared history together as Black people that a lot of people just don't understand because you can't find it in a book. You can only find it through conversation and through life experience.
Exactly. And even just hearing someone's experiences is more powerful than, kind of reading it on black and white. Just like even with us, like if it's nice to, read the scriptures and everything. And for people who are just kind of just starting to get to know, Christ and whatnot. But then when you're actually hearing people's experiences and their relationship with him, what they've been through, is so much more, you can really just emote with that so much more, So yeah, like I love the first stories. Like I love the very first one you're talking about back when you were, between 6 and 8.
Yeah.
And then you were lighter and just kind of just drawing the image, of the white girl and everything, and how that situation went and everything. But that was a key experience to who you are now.
Exactly.
God used that to get you where you are now. So, you feel free. Tell people just a little snippet. I want them to watch the episode, but just give them a little taste of what that was about.
Yes. So growing up, I went to a performing arts school and visual arts. So arts was very important, and representing yourself was quite important because of that. And due to how I came off as a child, I wasn't very that stereotypical Black person. I didn't speak a certain way. And because of that, I kind of drew the conclusion based on my appearance and based on how I look that I must be white. And that experience for me, when I actually visually saw what I thought I was, when I drew myself a little blonde white girl, and to be shot down and told, honey, you're Black, was very disheartening because of the image of what white people represent, especially in that day and age when I was a little kid. Like, it's not really much different, but we have acknowledged it as different now. But back then it was like, white is great. White is better. Be white, be great. And by being told you're not white, it's almost being told you're not great. So that was that experience for me when they took my picture and made me redraw it. I was like, yeah.
Right,
So that's
right. So that's what you felt when you had to redraw that image.
Yeah, and especially when my mom and the teacher were talking about the picture, and my mom even asked me, which one represents you? And I point to the white woman that I drew. Check out the episode, guys, called Mommy, I'm Not White. It's pretty great. Anyway, when my mom was like, oh, which one represents you? And I point to the blue-eyed white chick, and she's like, no, not quite. Try the brown one you drew. And I'm like, that's the redrawing, the one I was told to draw.
Right.
So it was like me feeling like I rebranded myself, but I wasn't rebranding. It was more of an acknowledgement of what I actually look like, who I actually am.
Exactly. Now, culturally, where do you feel like that image that you put on yourself, where do you think it came from? Do you think it came more so from like the neighborhood that you were in, or from sitcoms, TV? Do you feel like media, TV played more of an influence, or more of like your social surroundings and stuff?
I would say it was a combination of both, because I never went to school in my neighborhood ever. So I went to school, it was still the hood, but it was a different hood. And I went to a predominantly Black school, all Black teachers, all Black kids for like 99% of it. And I would say my social standing, there was a great divide between lighter skinned Black kids and darker skinned Black kids. But like on the opposite end of the spectrum, where if you were darker skinned, you kind of got a little more clout than if you were lighter skinned. So it was actually on the opposite end of the spectrum. So they would always make fun of like me solely based on how I looked, and it wasn't like all dark skinned kids were like making fun of me but for the mass majority for being light skinned, like getting bashed for being like, your daddy's white, your mom must be white, you're half bred, underbaked, not cooked all the way. And I'm like, dang. And then when you go, and then your personality is not like theirs in your social standing. Like, I was just a little too quirky to be Black. And then you see on sitcoms, they didn't help in the media. It really didn't. Like, if you did say a Black person, they're either a maid speaking in this super Southern accent. I'm like, Chicago, bro. Like, I don't speak like that. My mom has an English degree. I'm not allowed to speak like that, And then if they're not like a maid, they're very prominent in stereotypes.
Yeah.
You know, it's not ghetto or ratchet. It's just stereotypical. Like, this is what you expect while meeting a Black person or a Black woman, man, or and stuff.
So like they created this template.
Exactly.
You know, like, this is the template, what we want this to look like, and you have to fit that mold. So everyone already had that mentality, like, yo, this is it. Anything outside of that, you must not be Black, you know?
Literally, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as children, you kind of just take, like, even adults, for the most part, I would say it wasn't mainly the children who made fun of me. It was mostly like some of the staff. Like, they were also played into it, like, but it was just like, oh, this is culture. You know, we're all Black here. We understand our culture. We understand this is kind of how it is, you know? And I would say even in my family, you know, there's a divide in between color. So it's just like in every part of my social standing, there was always this remembrance that you aren't as Black as you feel. So you need to kind of stay in your lane, even into my adult years. So that's another reason why I like create Call Me Blackity Black, because whether you are at the lightest end of the spectrum or the darkest end of the spectrum, you have a shared experience just based on being Black. And that is very important. And there's no difference in between your shade. It's just how the world is you based on your shade.
Exactly.
And that's spoken and be reconnected with us as Black people.
And you've created this podcast at a great time with everything that's going on. So obviously we have the virus pandemic happening right now, but also there's this racial pandemic that's going on too. We can call that a pandemic as well. It's just spreading, and so much so that people aren't even afraid to expose or show their racism in broad daylight at this point. It's just like, you know, wherever I'm at, whatever, I'm just gonna go off. If you're different from me, then, you know, I'm just gonna, you know, act a fool. You know, that's how it's been now. And I feel like this is a very good time for for this to be, you know, released. So like pretty much, how long was this in the works, or when did you kind of say, like, you know what, it's time to get this out here? Like, when did you start kind of even dreaming it up, you know, as opposed to when it started to be released on YouTube?
It was a pretty quick process. It was almost like a night and day type of thing, if I can be honest. My friend Beja, she gave me the idea. We were on the phone and I was telling her about like Black experience. She's like, she's mixed race. She's Black and Honduran. And she never really got to experience her Black side. And I'm telling her about Black culture. I'm teaching her on the things. She's like, wow, I never knew. You talk about this. You should make a podcast.
Yeah.
And I brought the idea of the cat. She's actually my manager. She is the one who schedules all the photo shoots, the videography, like all that. Carol, she does all of the actual fine tuning, like how the video sounds, the quality of the video, and all of that hard work. And I have the life experience. So we're all together to make this thing. But it was more of, Kat asked me, do you want people to know? Do people need to know this? Why is this important? And with being my friend for 8 years, she knows why it's important, but she needs to remind me, why is it important for people to understand that you are Black, and why is being Black so important? And it took me, I would say, all like probably the first episode to the release of everything. It probably took about 2 weeks.
Nice. Yeah. Good.
Maybe a week and a half for all of that. Like, we have really good connections and like very, very like rigid things done. And like I already had the life experience. I already knew the stories. I've been telling them my whole life.
Yeah.
As a platform to actually create it.
I love it. And you know what? And this is so encouraging because, first of all, I love entrepreneurs. Whenever anyone starts any type of creative endeavor, like I just get so excited. I'm like, yo, do you need help? Let's talk. What are you guys doing? Let me share this. Let me share that. You know, so it's really exciting. But it's also encouraging because so many people sit on these gifts or sit on what God is calling them to do. And even you just saying like, this wasn't something you thought about back in 2017 and you've just been holding off and now it's like, finally I'm going to do it. It's like this happened. You felt this in your spirit and it's like, let's get this out there. So, Starving Arts courses, we're about, the musicians, we teach the music and whatnot, but also all artists. We want to, be able to promote all types of artistry in any kind of way and want our students to know if you have a passion for something like this, just run with it, just do it. Because it just has to start. You're going to start seeing that traction. You're going to start making the mistakes, seeing the areas for growth and all that, and just see it, just blossom like crazy, but you have to start. So I love that you started this and, it's blessing so many people, like you're educating. A lot of the issue with, the Black Lives Matter movement and everything that's going on with that, people aren't educated. And a lot of people don't want to be educated. So that's what makes it. It's like, you're not even trying to be educated. I understand if you're trying and you're like, I need some help understanding this.
Exactly.
But that's where the ignorance comes. Is just like I don't even care. I'll like this type of people just because. That's the issue. So I love that you're doing this. It's amazing. So what kind of like where do you see this going? Like right now you're doing this. Like what's some things maybe in the future that you want to see this turn into?
Well, we've been working on like more like interview type because I know my life experience, I know what Blackness is for a lot of Black people, but I can't share their story as my own because it's not my life. So, for topics that I am not like well versed in, like fashion of different complexion, multiculturalism, like I'm as Black as they come, in my opinion. So there's a lot of things that I just don't know. So interviewship, like we've been working on to work with like fashion designers. Like I have a couple of friends and a couple of networks that are in the fashion world who are Black, and they can share their experience of the appropriation.
Nice.
Where I know about through textbook and through like more on the like individual and like how is a as an individual, but they can talk on the macro scale, or being darker skinned in the Black community. That's something I've seen, but I can't speak on because it doesn't affect me in the same way. And or like music, we have a couple of artists that we're going to be speaking with, so to get their experience on like how appropriation and how it is to be a Black artist, and just different topics such as that.
Yeah. I love it. That's awesome. So right now is it only on YouTube at this state?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
We do
I would check into, getting that as an iTunes podcast too,
Yeah, that we have to get licensing and stuff like that. YouTube is the easiest avenue right now. Because we don't have to have all the little small things in between. And on Instagram, actually, we do it live. So we do one podcast on the first Tuesday of the month. Then on the third Tuesday of the month, we do live on Instagram, where that is more like the Black auntie version of it, where we just kind of a little more interpersonal, a little less like me speaking to you, kind of like more conversational, like topics that the viewers bring to me, or something I think would like to hear based on what the podcast was about. Like we talked about colorism in our last video. So in the podcast now, the viewers will have a chance to share their stories on what colorism is, and I'll share that for the viewers.
Love it. That's awesome. Cool. So there's a separate Instagram page for this specifically?
Yes.
All right, awesome. And then we're going to make sure we put all those links at the bottom of this video. You guys can click on all that, check it out. Make sure you comment, make sure you follow, make sure you subscribe, all of that to the channel and everything. But Quiana, so what's one lesson that you want people to get out of this podcast? Like, what's the overall arching thing that you want people to be able to put in their heads and in their hearts when they watch and listen to these?
Okay, I think. How do I say this? Well, the first thought that came to my mind is a life is not as important as you make it. A life is just important. Black Lives Matter movement is not a political statement. It's a moral statement. It talks on the morality of people. So, and how we are not supposed to benefit from anything because of just benefit's sake. It's from the lack and the rejection and all of not just historical, but reality. Yeah. So I say the lesson that I want people to learn is that Black Lives Matter, not because it's a movement, but because people are people and deserve treatment as such. That's the lesson I would love for the podcast.
I love it.
Black stories. Love Black stories.
Yeah, I love it. I love the direction it's going. So much room for so many things to flourish out of this. I love that you just got this bad boy started. So, guys, thank you so much. And make sure you go and check out Call Me Blackity Black on YouTube, on Instagram. Any other links that we might have for, we're going to drop it in. Quiana, thank you so much for starting this. We appreciate you. And this is another amazing artist interview with Quiana Ellison. Thank you so much.